Thank you very much for showing us around and explaining the aims of the center. I'm very thankful to you for doing this. Let me greet you with the Indian greeting, which is Namaskar. Now, Namaskar need not be equated with a religion, because you see what we do is put your hands together, both hands together. Or in Tamil it is Vanakkam, it's same thing. But what it means is bring your hearts together. This is what it means. And I think the work that is going on here, this is unique. I have not seen many places where you have a mosque and a temple and a church and all communities coming together and kind of living life together. This is something unique. And what we are trying to do I come from the south of India, from Bangalore. What we are trying to do is also in a different way the same aim that we have, like you saw there, be human, born human, be human, and every step for humanity. Now to spread this message, in 2015, January the 12th, I started a walk. I could have cycled, but I wanted to walk from Kanyakumari, which is the southern end of India, to Kashmir, which is the northern end of India. And in India, you know, there are diverse cultures. There are diverse cultures. There are Hindus, there are Muslims, there are Christians. There is not a single religion which is missing in India. The Sikhs, the Baha'is, who have now started their centers. And for your information, one of the oldest synagogues in the world, perhaps, is in India. Yes, there is a small southern Indian state called Cochin, where there is an old synagogue which is still existing, which was started by the Jews and their rabbi who were shipwrecked and who were one of the tribes that came away from Jerusalem. And the king of, I want to tell you this story because the king of Cochin at that time, the Hindu king, the ruler, when he saw these people coming in, looking different, little bit like Europeans and wearing caps here, he thought that how are they going to merge with us? I think they are a different kind of people, so how are they going to live with us? So in the beginning, he was a little doubtful. So the story goes that he gave the rabbi a glass of full of milk, the ruler, the king, the Indian ruler, and said, "Here, we are full. There is no space." So the rabbi took a spoon of sugar and put it into the milk and stirred it and said, "There is space for sugar. The milk hasn't come out." So the king said, "You're welcome." So they built a beautiful synagogue which still exists with Chinese tiles which were imported in the 17th century. So why I'm saying this, and the early Christians. I come from India, so I'm very proud of saying that we have lived together for thousands of years. Now the Christians, much before England became Christian, or Germany became Christian, or Europe became Christian, there has been Christianity in India, and that too in Kerala where I was born. I'm born in the southern end, the southern state of India, which is called Kerala. Oh, and how did this happen? The story is that one of the direct disciples of Jesus, who was St. Thomas, also known as Doubting Thomas, with all his doubts, came into India from the coast, and they started, the people who were there, the elite of Kerala, were the Brahmins, the Nambudiri Brahmins. Seeing his exceptional life, they voluntarily became Christians, many of them. And they are the most oldest Christians probably after the Greek Orthodox Church. And they are called the Syrian Christians of Kerala. And the important thing is that they follow most of the customs of the Hindus. They light a lamp, they do everything, but they are Christians. And they are called Syrian Christians. And to this day, some of the litanies, the mass that is conducted in the church, is done in a language which is called Aramaic, which is the ancient language spoken by Jesus Christ. It's very similar to Syrian language. When I first heard Mass, I thought they're talking in Arabic because it sounded so similar. So we have all streams coming in. And one more information. The oldest is Muslim mosque that during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, even while he was alive, outside of Arabia is in Kerala. There's a place called Kodungalur, where you still have the mosque existing, and it is the rumor is one of the kings turned to Islam and went away to Makkah. And as far as the Hindu stream is concerned, it's so ancient, and I don't think 2000 years ago a religious book has said in Sanskrit, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vedanti, which means the truth is one, wise men call it by different names. This is said 2000 years ago, and most Indians, I think, have this feeling that you can come from different streams and go to the same ocean. Politics is a different matter.
Yeah.
Because in politics, you divide and you rule. But here we want to bring people together. But that doesn't mean that you can leave the politician out. They are also human beings like us. So if they change, they can do a lot of things to this world. So this is what I do. I don't let anybody out of it. Everybody is the same. We're all born as human beings. This is very clear. We breathe. We have 2 eyes. Nobody has 3 eyes. We have 2 ears. We eat, we drink, and finally we die. So in this little drama of life, can't we live together in peace? This is the question I ask. I think it is possible if everybody puts their mind into it, which is why we took this walk from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. 7,500 kilometers we walked. It took us 1 year and 4 months. Several people here have taken part in the walk, at least for some time. I had to do the whole thing because I was leading the walk. I could not run away in the middle. So, this is what we are attempting to do. Now we come to another wonderful religion called the Sikh. I see that there are many religions here. The Sikh religion, I can see Sardar sitting there. You know, Guru Nanak was one of the great saints of India who founded the religion of the Sikhs. He said that there is no difference between human beings, whether they are Hindus or Muslims. In fact, a very interesting incident happened. Well, let me tell you this. I was born in a Muslim family in Kerala. And except that at a very young age, I was very influenced by the Hindu teachings of meditation and yoga and so on. At the age of 19, I went away to the Himalayas and met my teacher, who was Maheshwarnath Babaji, and lived with him for 3 years. I think it brought about a transformation in my consciousness. I believe so. And even today I'm living like that. I'm not a monk, or I have a family, I have a wife, I have 2 children. In fact, I think it's a good idea to have lead a married life, because that's where your ego can be properly shaped. You might think you're a great saint, but when you go to your home and your wife shouts at you, I'm not saying everybody does. You check your ego, where do I stand? So it's a good idea. Anyway, so my wife doesn't shout at me. So anyway, I'm talking about the Sikhs. I'm going to tell you a very interesting story. It's not story, it's real life. We were walking in Delhi. In Delhi there are mosques and there are gurdwaras and there are temples. So we went to a mosque, and the imam of the mosque was a young man, okay, with a turban, and he gave us a very nice talk about the universality of religion and that God is for all and not for any separate people, and so on. And then after that he gave us tea and biscuits. We were very happy, we were hungry, we were walking from the morning. And I told them there are all kinds of, there are not only Muslims here, he said, for human beings. So he gave us tea and biscuits and we enjoyed, and we saw the little kids studying in the school. And then he asked me, where are you going next? I said, we are going to a Gurudwara. A Gurudwara is the Sikh place of worship of the Sikhs. So he asked me, can I come? I said, sure you can come. He said, but I've never been to a Gurudwara. I said, come with me. They had already informed there is an organization called the Shiromani something Sikh Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee. So I had informed their secretary and president. So they were all waiting. So I said, you come with me. So we went. And you know, when you enter a Gurudwara, all men and women have to cover their heads. Like you wear caps, or like the Jews wear this little cap. So you have to cover your heads. And now this man didn't have to cover his head because he had already a turban on his head. So anyway, I also put on a turban and we all went inside. They welcomed me with garlands and all that. And they give a thing called a saropa, which is a orange colored cloth taken from the Holy of Holies. So they did. So I introduced the Maulana, the Imam, to them and said this. He's from the mosque here and he has come with me. He says this is the first time he's coming here. So they shook his hands and welcomed him and said, Aye, come, sit down. So he came and sat there. Now it so happens that when a congregation happens like this, they usually open their sacred book, which is the Granth Sahib, they call it, the Granth. So they opened it and they read it. They open at random, any page, and it so happened that it was the song of a great saint in India called Kabir. And I don't know if this statement is from Kabir or it is from Guru Nanak, the founder. But what they read was, Awal Allah Noor Ugaye Khudrat ke sab bande. Now the Maulana, the Imam who was sitting near me leaned towards me and said, are they reading the Quran? I said, no, they are reading the sacred book, because they mentioned that first God, who was there referred to as Allah in their book, got the light on, and from the light came all the human beings, all the living beings. This guy had never heard. So when he came out, he said, oh, I didn't know about this. I said, good, because you'll open your eyes, you should know. We should go, we should open, we should experiment. You see, it's wonderful to live in your house if it is beautiful and comfortable, but you should also see what the neighbor is doing. Then you realize that there are different ways of looking at reality. And if this is understood in our minds, then we can live in peace, at least as far as religion is concerned. Unfortunately, in the name of religion, there has been so much violence in the world. Go to history and check till today. Why? Because it has usually got mixed up with too much of politics. So this is called the politics of religion. If you can keep it out, and if people like you who are here can meet together and understand this fact, I think you can live together in peace. Because the ultimate truth, whether you want to call it God or cannot be defined. You cannot define it. So we have our own definitions. This is my experience, and we go by these definitions. You cannot really define. In fact, if you have read the Old Testament and seen the gospel or the story of Moses, there's a wonderful story when Moses goes onto the hill, and then he hears a voice which says, "Take off your shoes, for you are on holy ground." So he takes off his shoes and enters. And then he sees a light behind a tree, which is in the Old Testament referred to as the burning bush. He sees the light. So he asks a question, because he doesn't know what it is, where is it? So he asks, "Who are you?" Or you can say, "What are you?" And the answer is very interesting. It sounds like a sentence from the ancient Sufi or Vedantic teachings. The answer, the sound that Moses heard was, "Ahiye, Ashar, Ahiye, I am that I am." Nobody knows. We human beings with our puny brains cannot define this. So we can only go by a small definition. And if we have a definition, somebody else may be having his own definition. So there is no clash. We are looking at the same thing from different eyes. If this is in mind. Now, I am never tired of repeating this little story, which I also talked about, I think, yesterday or day before, because it's so much to the point. This is taken from a great Sufi teacher whose name many people know. He was Rumi, Jalaluddin Rumi, the founder of the order of the whirling dervishes, and who wrote this wonderful poem called the Maznavi, which is very popular in Persian. Well, he also wrote a prose book called Fihi Ma Fihi, which many people don't read because it is very confusing. Because Fihi Ma Fihi means it is and yet it is not. That's very confusing. Anyway, so this Jalaluddin Rumi got this story from more ancient sources, which is from India, which are the Jains. You know, there is a religion in India called the Jains. You will be surprised to know that the Jains don't believe in God as a creator. It's very ancient. They believe that a human being has a soul which has to be purified by being good and not causing injury to others. And when it is purified, it reaches a state of freedom. The Jain religion. And their greatest principle is ahimsa paramo. The greatest religion is non-injury. This is what they say. And yet they don't have a creator God in mind. Why I'm saying this is I have many communist friends in Kerala. They don't believe in God. I said, okay, fine. But can you at least see that you don't cause injury to others? Then you're okay. Then you're being religious in a way. See, your social and political thought may be different, but we are human beings. Can we live together? So anyway, Jalaluddin Rumi adapted this story in a beautiful way. And this story I said yesterday, you will remember this story, I'm sure, because I am never tired of repeating this. It's the story of three blind men. who went to see an elephant. Very blind. They couldn't see. But in our world, there are people who have eyes but who cannot see. You can't help it. What can you do? Anyway, these were three blind men who went to see an elephant. And one of them touched the leg of the elephant and said that an elephant is like a pillar, huge pillar, or like a tree trunk. It's very rough, and I have been told that if you do go too close, it might land on your head and you can shatter your skull. Now this is his definition of the elephant, because he's blind. The other man touched the tail of the elephant and said that an elephant is like a brush, like a long brush, like the bathroom brush, toilet brush, and it keeps swinging all the time. And if you go too close, you might get slapped by the bristles. His definition. And the third blind man touched the trunk of the elephant and said that the elephant is like a rubber hose which hangs down, keeps moving all the time, and makes noises like psh, psh sounds. And this is the elephant. Now there was a big fight, trying to find out whose definition is the right definition. But there are three blind people, imagine. So one said that I'm right, the other said I'm right, the third said there was a big fight. And so much so that one man was sitting on the other and trying to strangle his neck. And the question is, this is the correct definition of an elephant. And then comes a man who can see. In the Sufi literature, the man who can see is considered to be the teacher, the spiritual teacher. A person who can see, who has seen the reality. He comes in and he says, what are you fighting about? Well, they say that an elephant is this, an elephant is that, and says, just 1 minute, can you get up from there? You are right. You are also right. You are also right. But all three of you are wrong in the absolute sense of the term. Because elephant is so big. An elephant is so big. The elephant is so big that none of your definitions can actually define the elephant. I can see. You see, you have touched one part. You may be right, but you cannot say the other fellow is wrong because he has touched another part. But in the ultimate sense, with our limited minds, we cannot conceive. So let's accept it. If you accept that, there is no fight, there is no quarrel. We can still live in peace. This is the story of the elephant and the three blind men. It's very funny that it was written 1,000 years ago, maybe 800 years ago. And even still in this world, there are people who are like the three blind. And it's our job, it's in the best interest of humanity to prevent another war, to keep people together. For you and me, we can't leave it to the politicians. You and me have to go and discuss matters with people and lead a life where we learn to live together. It's not, as you said, it's not just a question of tolerance. It's beyond. Tolerance means I'm good, he's not so good, but it's okay, I will live with him. This is tolerance. I think acceptance is a better word. Everybody is good in their own way. This is acceptance. Tolerance is, I don't like it, this word, because it means, oh, I'm great, and this guy is not so, but he's okay, I'll adapt. See? We are all human beings first. We all breathe, we all eat, we go to the toilet, doesn't matter, and we die. There's nobody who is always around, right? Finally, we are in a grave, and they write, rest in peace. So should we wait till the grave to have peace? Rest in peace? Can we do it while we are alive? My master, my teacher, used to say that RIP, which they write, rest in peace, actually means rise if possible. Nobody has accepted the challenge. So in this little drama of life, can we live together with the understanding that deep in our hearts there is the light of the Supreme Being? And since we are all human beings, it has to be there in everybody. It can't be only in some people. You may see the external as different, but the inner has to be the same. So if one can live with this idea, and I think you're doing it in a very wonderful way, like bringing people. I met the Imam at the mosque today, and he had a nice, he spoke quite well. So if this thought can be broadcast a little more and people can be brought together, we have sown the seeds of peace which will prevent this world from going into another war. Already it's happening, can be prevented. And I think every one of us is responsible for this. We can't hand over the responsibility to anybody else. In our own way, we are trying to have a center for religions in Bangalore, in the south. It's not exactly like this, and it's not so well built and so on, because we are in Switzerland, in Bern. It's a different matter. We are in India, so it's okay. But we have separate places of worship, like a temple, church, mosque, Gurudwara, Buddhist vihara, and a Jain temple, and they're all linked to each other by roads, small paths. Yeah, so anyone can go where they want. And I have kept them a little away so that if somebody throws a stone, it doesn't hit the other. No, I'm joking. So, and we are planning a water body, a pond in which we will put Buddha in the center. So this moves on, and I hope when you come to India, you'll probably come and see this thing, this experiment that we are doing. Lastly, much of unity and peace don't happen because of our egos. So a person, when he says he's spiritual, it doesn't matter the way he prays or way he meditates or the different words he uses. Because if God is almighty and supreme and universal, he does not understand only one language. And if God is universal, you cannot say it's he or she or anything of that kind. That's our definition. And it cannot be that I can only talk to God in Sanskrit or in Arabic or in Hebrew. If it is universal God, then He knows our hearts and all languages are equal. Right? Or there is no need of language, the heart can communicate. So, but the fact is that our ego does not allow us to break through and go closer. It's the ego that is the main problem. So again, I want to tell you a small story, which I'm never tired of repeating. It's a story from India. You saw a man here in the film with an orange turban and an orange robe who was talking in English. He heads a very big Hindu temple, a Lingayat temple. They are from Karnataka in the south. Very big man, in his own way. So he told me this story.